Now I'm being joined by writer-director JC. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thanks.
So, can you talk about what it was like putting this film together?
Yeah, we put together in a relatively short amount of time. I had a script that I liked and wanted to do, and I called my friend Mike and said, "Would you help me produce this film?" And within about 6 weeks, we scrambled and put it together. We started in June, and I said, let's shoot mid-July, and we actually did. We put it all together. It was basically shot in locations that we knew we already had, so we really didn't have to location scout too much. I already had the script. I had to scramble. The hardest part was to scramble for the right actors, which we were fortunate to find in 4 weeks, and then we started and shot in 2 weeks. So within 2 months, basically the film was in the can.
So 12 days, is that like the shortest you've ever directed a film for?
Well, I've never directed a film before, so it's the longest and the shortest, both, since it's my first film, and it's the first time I directed a film. So yeah, it seemed to be the only amount of money that I could afford. I would have liked to have shot more days, but we were on a tight budget, and each day costs money. Each day you have to feed people. Each day you have to pay the talent and the crew. So we could afford 12 days, so we had to make as much as we can, as quick as we can, and hopefully make a movie in 12 days.
So, talking about the budget now, how much was the budget for this film?
Well, a lot of times when people ask a budget, it's a really, really hard thing to ask, because there's what they call soft money and hard money. Hard money is what I pay somebody to do a job. Soft money is the services that you get in kind. So I know that I didn't get paid. Most people didn't get paid. We did it as a SAG picture, which as a SAG picture you have to pay the actors in experimental. I think it's an experimental budget under a couple $100,000. So I paid the actors, but really no one else got paid. I was fortunate enough to have owned the equipment, so I own the equipment. I didn't have to pay for that. I didn't pay for editing, other than the a couple editors' salary. So it's a really tough thing to say. I would say that, as far as the question of the budget, if I were to look at a budget and do a low-budget film like this, and if I were to do this film again and I had to pay for things, I would put the budget about $150,000.
So now I was watching the film. Now most of the locations are in Los Angeles, right?
Most of the all the locations are in Los Angeles. Most of the locations are my apartment. My apartment, Mike's apartment, Mike's aunt's house, my sound man's house. We literally, when I wrote the script, wrote it in mind with what I had as far as location. And I said, well, I like this coffee shop, and I think they'll let me shoot there, so let me write a scene in a coffee shop. So really, that's what we did, and I think that that's the only way, if you're going to do an independent film, is to look at your resources, look at what you have available as far as crew, cast, locations, and anything else. And if you do have it, then try to write it in or incorporate as much as you can.
That's right. So we're talking about the casting calls again now. How many casting calls did you have to do, and how many people tried out for these roles?
I think I did three casting sessions. How many people tried out? I would probably, each role, I probably had about 100 actors per role, which each session I probably brought in, well, maybe more, maybe about 30 to 50 actors per role, per casting session.
Oh, okay. So now I want to talk a little bit about Michigan, because we have a 42% tax incentive here. Now, would you consider doing maybe your next film here?
I would love to do my film in Michigan. One of the reasons what I was excited about getting into the Detroit Independent Film Festival was to come here. My films are really small, so I don't know if I even qualify for the tax incentive. But that said, just looking around, there's really cool buildings, there's really cool landscaping here, and I would love to shoot a film, because there's just so many really awesome locations, and I think that people here would be excited to have a film shoot there. So if you had an old building, or if you had a a cool boiler room or something like that, and the people were okay with you shooting there. I think it's a really great opportunity to make films. I'm always seeing buildings that are just spectacular that I was like, oh, wow, I wonder if they would let me shoot here. So I think it's a great place for filming, and I have, it's absolutely in my mind to come here and do a film.
So now, what's next for this film? Is it going to go on DVD eventually, nationwide theatrical?
We've been very fortunate that the film has been very well received in the festivals, and I've been approached by 3 or 4 distributors, all wanting the film now. So we're weighing out our options. There has been talk about a limited theatrical, and when I say limited, I mean major cities. So yeah, there's some talk about a theatrical. It's going to definitely be out on DVD. I'm hoping in the next 3 months we'll be out on DVD by the summer of 2010, and I think that you're talking about VOD, DVD, and hopefully a limited theatrical, depending on the deal that we end up signing.
All right. Now, what's next for you? Are you working on any other movies or TV shows?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing a little webisode just to keep myself occupied. So I have this little, Nicholas and I are doing a little webisode called steamroomstories.com, and it's just a 1-minute fun little thing that we write together, and we've been doing, and it's nice because it keeps your brain going. I'm a big supporter of if you're a writer, then write, and I've really kind of surprisingly found that it's a wonderful challenge to try to make a 1 or 2 minute little self-contained comedic gag. Yeah. So in writing that, I try to write 1 or 2 of them a week, and then we bring the actors in, and I built a little set in my living room, and it's supposed to be a steam room, but it's in my living room, and the actors come in. We got some great actors, and we shoot these little 2-minute things, and it keeps me thinking about how to use Final Cut and the cameras and everything else. So it keeps me fresh as far as that's concerned. I wrote a couple more scripts, romantic comedies, and my goal is to be in production the summer, either the sequel or the next story. If it's not a sequel to Is It Just Me, I've got another I think it's a great script, and hopefully I'll be able to produce it this summer. So my goal is to make at least one romantic comedy a year.
Oh, okay. So any other comments to make while we're still here today?
I had never been to Detroit. I worked on I did an animal show called Animal Exploration, and I shot that in the Upper Peninsula, and I really liked it. I really liked that experience in Michigan about a couple of years ago. So when we got into Detroit, I thought, what a great city with the tax credits, and just as a location, I wanted to come in here to go to the festival, and it was a great festival. We had, I think, really good success. We sold out yesterday, and people really seem to be responsive to the film. So now I hopefully can forge relationships with the local filmmakers here and the resources here to come back here and maybe make another show or another movie. So that's my goal.
Thanks a lot. It was nice speaking with you today.
So
Thank you.